Welcome everyone to our executive functioning series. Today we're going to be reviewing screens and the impact of screens, of excessive exposure in brain development. So I know you're probably thinking, how am I supposed to survive if I have to work from home, being on Zoom calls all day, as well as homeschool my child and keep my child entertained at home all day. So it is true that we had this issue, but we need to also consider the repercussions of excessive exposure in our child's brain. And so for that, I want to quote a couple studies, but this is one article, and by the way, I'll put this in my blog. So if you want more details, you could go to my blog and I have the link below for you. But this article shows that studies really show a structural damage with excessive exposure to screens in the means of, first, they saw decrease in the gray matter, so in the brain, that's the part where the processing occurs. They also saw a decrease in the white matter, and they also saw a decrease in size in cortical development. So the cortex, the area of the brain, the most important part of the brain for executive functioning, where the sophisticated thinking and processing occurs, this cortex is like decreased in size. So now if you consider the brain as a machine, as a laptop, think about it as part of the disk is damaged. So now we can understand with a little more knowledge and compassion that our kid is experiencing emotional dysregulation, executive functioning issues, right? Because those functions, they are mandated top down from the prefrontal cortex, which is this area here just behind your forehead, which we just saw has a reduced size in brains exposed to screens. So understanding the biology behind executive functioning issues, one of the things that really contributes to lowering your child's executive functioning is exposure to screens. And this needs to be very, very clear. So many studies are showing it. And the other thing we need to talk about is the dopamine reward circuit modifications. So basically, the reward circuit is linking your prefrontal cortex, your amygdala, and your limbic system, basically. So what it says is that the command center picks up the cue from the environment. Then this information may be transferred over to the amygdala, who then picks up in your memory experiences of pleasure. And then if this is validated, it's an asking the prefrontal cortex to take an action. So it's sort of like, I'm looking at this cupcake. I feel like this would be a good experience for me. Let me look in my memory. Yes, that sounds about right. I love cupcakes. It makes me feel high for a few minutes based on sugar. So yes, let's go ahead and tell prefrontal cortex to initiate movement. That loop is initiated and on and on and on and on. And so this is the reason why those kids cannot get off their screen. This is the reason why all they want to do is be in the screen. And those games are very compelling because it's so difficult to get them engaged in anything else. And basically, that's the reason why, because their brain is constantly flooded with this dopamine rush that makes them come for more. And by the way, this is the same circuit we see at play with addictions. And so that explains why when you take away the tablet, there is like a terrible, terrible reaction. And literally you see your child in pain because you're cutting them off from that happy dopamine rush they're experiencing with their tablets. That's the reason why you need to wean them off so slowly and so attuned to how their reaction is. We really need to be attuned to how they react to it, because again, it's the same circuit and the same brain modification as addictions, and so we have to be very conscientious of that. So if you consider dopamine rush is really like telling them the wrong narrative. Go ahead after this, go after this, this is good for you. When we know it's not, right? So the software in this laptop is wrong. It's giving you the results you're not expecting, actually you do not want, because the software is wrong, the narrative is wrong. And so that's why it's very difficult to get them engaged in anything else, because again, this experience is so compelling, and keep on this vicious circle. Dopamine rush, I want more. Dopamine rush, I want more. And so that's why weaning them off is so difficult, and we need to go very slowly. But anyway, I want to come to the other question. The other question being, why do we let our kids be so enslaved to tablets? And I know you probably have a conscious narrative about it. I have to, because I have to work and my kid is home. But if we really deep dive further into our subconscious, if we really dare to go there, what can we find? Do we want some time alone because we're desperately craving for it? Do we consider mixed messages from the environment that everybody's having their kids in tablets a message that society expects our child to be completely brainwashed? Or do we feel that this is our right, our God-given right as parents, to decide that, hey, they have to do it? Or again, is it because, everything pushes us to do that? I'm thinking about schools being online, any sort of tutoring activity being online, and I'm not against screen time, period. There are very, very enriching screen time opportunities out there, whether it's visiting virtually your favorite museum from across the world, or taking a tutoring class, or taking an art class, or doing yoga or meditation online, all of which amazing and really such enriching activities for your children. I'm talking about considering normal to get them riveted in this tool and really relinquish their power to this tool. Why do we do this? So I've done a little bit of my inner child search, my shadow work. So shadow work is a term in a Jungian psychology to really understand why we do things that we don't think are really right. It's embracing that piece of us, that part of us that's in the shadow. Why am I letting this happen to my child? So it is one question I encourage you to ask yourself. I've waged a war onto screens during most of my life and my child's life, so I could tell you I make things very difficult for myself. I do not allow any screen unless it's really necessary and I see the value on it. So whether it's meditation, yoga, personal development, I do allow, but absolutely not accepting that my child be riveted into this tool, into this object. All day, 8 hours a day, absolutely not. And so, but I still feel that we may have some messages from the environment, from society, that's, hey, they're kids, that's what they're supposed to be doing, such as 20 years ago, hey, we're kids, we're supposed to be playing outside, right? So maybe it's something like that, but I would really encourage you to do your shadow work. I would also encourage you to look at yourself. So are you riveted to that object yourself all day? Because if you are, it's going to be very difficult to position yourself in coaching your child to stop the addiction, basically. So one advice I would have is to schedule the time. Schedule the time you need to look for things and justify what you're doing, because you're not on Facebook and you're not doing something else. You are, I don't know, ordering food through Amazon, Whole Foods. You are researching something very specific. And by doing that, what you're teaching is you pick up the phone to do something very specific that you decide you're going to do. And when you're done, you put it down. A phone or tablet is a tool. It's not the master of your life, and it's a powerful message for you to give your child. It's a tool, not the master of your life. And so model that. Like when I pick up the phone, my child's looking, because I'm so used to compartmentalizing this. You know, I'm not all day on my phone. And when I do, I'm saying, hey, I'm ordering the food, I'm ordering the veggies, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm ordering this rim for your bike. And when I'm done, I put it down and I start enjoying my life right here, right now with you, right? So a little bit of invitation to self-reflection here towards the end of this video, as well as understanding that you are the role model, you are your child's hero, you are your child's role model, and what you do, they will do. So if you like this video, give it a like, share it, subscribe to our channel, and I'll speak with you very soon. Bye for now.